Urban legends, like all of my practice so far, is timely in what I'm experiencing or trying to understand about myself and my family and who I grew up with. This space, it's from my home. This couch is from my house. The lamp behind me is from my house. And I wanted to replicate it because this is kind of the scene that I go back to in my head when I'm thinking about the past, which has inspired the majority of these paintings. My paintings, they reflect my lived experiences as well as stories shared between family members as well as observed when I was growing up. It comes together through reflecting my life and my ideas of my family, and also growing up and being Indigenous and knowing that I was Indigenous and the complications that are around as being urban too. And so a lot of my paintings are trying to fill some gaps or questions around stories and people in my family and my life. I grew up in these aftermaths of things like residential school and also direct relatives being involved in addictions or things like prostitution or things like that, where there's only glimpses of stories because their lives are kind of stuck in time in those memories. And so this idea of urban legends removes that part but really uplifts the sides of like wild stories, like stories that I feel like maybe my dad will have to share first, because they're in very intense scenarios, but they're really joyful stories or relational connections in it. Family is everything in my practice. They see it when it's a sketch, they see it when it's in progress, and then afterwards it's in my house all the time, so we're always hanging out around it. I think now, as I've kind of moved into more of my own adult life and have, through these paintings, processed through a lot of things, family is important in a different way, of once being the people with the stories that some of my healing was aimed towards, on uncovering more. Now it's their opinion. The medicine for me, it's a lot in the doing, like when I'm painting and processing through, or maybe I have to stop and talk to somebody like in my family about this, or correct like a thought I had. But I definitely feel in my newer work, this idea of like medicine and healing is becoming more present and more public, or more to share. I think there's medicine in that, of like showing the joyful sides or the playful sides versus showing the things that are more traumatic or look like needs healing.